What does girl need all that education for? Just marry a rich man
so
and you
big.
said.
The higher you climb, the harder you fall. Even I
Why
can
don't you go
pass
get
it. What
yourself
makes
hit
you
by
think
a
you
car
can?
and die, or go
You're
sell
nothing
yourself
but
on
a
the streets
fucking
for all?
parasite,
Okay, at
leeching
least
off
you
this
stop
family.
wasting
Only
your
waste
money.
our
Waste how
money.
much
Manufacturing
money?
stuff.
Haven't you seen how many people
Just
fail to
just
pass
go
their
back
for
to
once?
it.
Why don't you just do vocational training instead?
Bitch, how dare you talk back to me?
Yes, those were the exact words that I heard from my own family, along with all the judgment and gossip from relatives, throughout almost every major decision that I made about my education. I know some of you guys here probably found me through a Threads post where I said I decided to leave one of the top university in Vietnam, which is National Economics University, to start university here in Germany over again. And today, finally the day, I decided to tell you the full story behind it, how I made a decision, what actually cost me, and why my life was never as easy or privileged as it might have looked from the outside. But before we get into all of that, let's go all the way back to my childhood. My mom and my dad broke up and was 6 years old, and at the time decided to live with my dad because my mom already have her new family. But 3 or 4 years down the road, my dad also took another step. He married to my stepmom. So at that time, I decided to move back to live with my mom and my stepdad because all my relatives told me to do so. And when I moved in with my mom, I felt like that was when hell truly began. She was a very short-tempered and abusive person. I was abused both mentally and physically. For years, she was trying to put me down, shame me, and say things as if I was a burden to the family, and I was just living off them like a parasite. And this actually hurt a lot, especially when I was thinking that the happy life that I was supposed to have was taken away from me from such a very young age. And not to mention, she's my mom. She's supposed to like protect me, to be on my side. But unfortunately, she always sided with my stepdad. And I understand this because both my mom and dad cheated on each other and there is no way back for them. Also that they were never on a good terms with each other. So it's understandable that she would hate me. And now you're probably wondering why I just didn't move in with my dad instead. So the truth is he was very poor. I mean, he still is right now. Both my dad and my stepmom were living in a pretty rundown house, very in debt, and they said that they couldn't support me financially, so it was better for me to just live with my mom instead. And of course, that is also what my relatives and my grandparents said. My stepdad always treated me unfairly and always made things difficult for me. Whenever we had an argument, his first reaction was always to tell me to leave the house. And sadly, my mom, she never stood up for me. So I would just stay with my dad. But after some time staying with my dad, due to some financial difficulty as always, I eventually would end up being sent right back to my mom's place. And this happened so often to the point that it became a norm to me and to everyone in my family. And the story of my education starts from here, when I was 15 years old in secondary school. And in my country, every student at this state has to take the final test, which will let you and decided what kind of high school you're gonna get into in the future. And in my country, there are two types of high school. One is regular high schools and the other is specialized high schools. And at a specialized high school, you will have to specialize in one particular subject such as math, literature, or English. And of course, at a much more advanced level, and most of the time you have to take extra classes for these types of high school if you want to get into this type of high school. And in my country, these type of specialized high school are also known as high schools for the gifted students, and it often considered very prestigious if you can get into this type of high schools. And each city only have one school like this, and they are usually the top school of that city. I mean, they are the top school of that city. So yeah, it's really highly competitive to get into this type of high school. And of course, like I said, if you want to start in this type of high school, you need to take extra classes for that. And of course, there might be people who are in the same situation like me, who don't have enough money to take extra classes, or in any kind of situation that they are not able to take extra classes. So we just basically starting everything by ourselves, go online and then find all materials there. And I think this may be a little bit unexpected for you guys, but I didn't specialize in math, instead in literature. So yes, I passed it. And of course, during the time I was starting and cramming for the exams for special high schools, my mom, my dad, my whole family actually, even my cousin, my uncle, my aunt, my relatives, I know they are influenced by my mom, my dad to tell me to not start in the special high school, instead just study at regular high schools because they're not gonna have money for me to study that. And if I still want to study that, they literally threaten me
to like not gonna give me any single penny. And it actually sad because I feel like the whole family like go against me. No one there like supporting me there for me. When I tell this to my grandma, luckily she was the one who supported me the most, and she told me that, you know, just focus on studying and, you know, follow your dream. I will trying to support you as much as I can financially, of course. I'm incredibly grateful for my grandmother. After getting to the high school, I saw that everyone around me was studying IELTS, and of course I also wanted to study that. And one reason is that I love English as always. And the second and also the most important thing is I want to study abroad. I want to get away from the toxic family. I don't never want to see them again. And like I said, they would never support me anyway. So I was crying my eyeballs out, and my mom didn't give a F, and my dad also like that. Eventually, I told that to my grandma, and she told me she will try her best to help me in any way she can. And of course, she also didn't have a lot of money. And usually, most of my friends, if they want to study IELTS, they need to have at least around like 20 to 50 million Vietnam dong. Not to mention, if you failed, you will have to start the course again. And this is exactly what I did when I didn't have enough money. Since IELTS considered 4 parts: listening, reading, speaking, and writing, I practiced listening and reading all by myself at home by going on the internet, finding all documents, and practice all by myself. For the speaking and writing part, I need someone to check and correct the mistakes for me. So I decided to take a small class, and this class is like so small and unknown to the fact that only 4 to 5 student maximums in the class. And we would have 2 classes a week. I mean like classes 5 times a week. And the reason why I took this class, because like I said, I didn't have money, and because it's small, so yes, very cheap. And I was started that, let's say, to 5 to 6 months before I took the test. And guess what? I passed it with a good score. And it's really sad because my whole family was like detesting me the whole time. Even my sister, in case you don't know, I have a sister, she always like discouraged me and said things like, you know, I couldn't even get a 5 in IELTS, so why did you dream so big like that and wasting our mom and dad money? And I was like, fine, then I will study everything by myself. And guess what? You need minimum 6.5 in order to study abroad, and I even passed that a lot. So yes, so like I said, it's not really easy for me to even make any decisions about my life or my education without having people like always go against me. And like I said, my grandma was the only one in the entire family who supported me, and especially both mentally and financially. She was actually the one that helped me financially so I could take this class, and I would say that she played a huge role in most of my success. And when I reached 18s is also the time that I had to take the university entrance exams, and my dream at the time was just to study the university in a capital city, because in my country only university in capital city that's actually at the best quality, like top university there. But school, like I said, my family, they would never support me. They always like came out with excuses or things like, no, too expensive there, we don't have much money for you, just stay here, you know, live with us, you don't have to pay rent, or you know, this is also enough, you are a girl, you need to study much, you just like get married to a very rich husband and stuff. Of course I don't like it. I mean, I want to like have my own decision of my own life. Before anyone comes at me and say things like, oh, it's true, you should be more understandable to your family. No. First, my sister also started a capital city. Second, my mom, I would say she plays a lot, she gambles and shit, so it's not true. And the third is even my mom and my stepdad plans for my step siblings to study abroad at the time, or you know, literally study at a good school. So this is just an excuse. And this actually very sad because not only were my decisions not supported, but I also got threatened by my family, especially my mom, saying things like, if you decided to study in a capital city, we're not gonna support you financially at all, and we're not gonna give you any single penny, and you're gonna take care of yourself. And guess what? I applied to the university anyway, top university. I took the university entrance exam despite everyone trying to talk me out of it. Not only my family, but also my relatives. I understand why my relatives did this to me. They were told by my family to discourage and convince me to study in a low-ranked or real regular university in my own city. But of course, I didn't listen to them.
And guess what? I didn't get into one university. I got accepted into several, and they were all top university. But in the end, I decided to go with the National Economics University. And before anyone here saying that I'm lying, then look at this. Even when the university was about to start, my parents were still completely against my decision. They were putting me under a lot of emotional pressure. And literally one day before my first day of university, my grandma called me and told me, just don't worry, focus on studying. I will try my best to help you if you need help with tuition fee. And then I just asked her like, but I don't have any money yet, and I haven't even had a place to live there, in a capital city. I haven't found one yet. What should I do? And she literally comforted me, saying that don't worry, I don't have a lot of money, but I'll try my best to help you. Just go there and tell me how much the money is. So I packed my things and went to the capital city all by myself. My parents didn't know that I was leaving, because I knew one thing for sure, that they would definitely try to stop me if they found out or if they knew it. And of course, 4 hours on a train, finally I reached the destination. I literally left home around noon, and then my parents only found out around 7 to 8 p.m. in the evening. And of course, they were completely furious and angry. They spammed my calls, and they literally insulted me and literally threatened me, saying that if you go there, you definitely get no pennies from us, and just literally live there alone. We don't give a F about you. At that point, I didn't even have a place to stay yet, but I have arranged a few apartment viewings a couple of days earlier. So basically, I spent the rest of the day going from one place to another, trying to find a place to rest. But eventually I didn't find one, but thank God I still managed to find one to rest, overnight. And the next day I went to school. After school, I kept going, finding a new place. And eventually around 10 p.m. at that day, I did find my place, the place that eventually I spent 1 or 2 years down the road living there. And the place I was staying at time was literally in terrible condition. It was not even a proper room. It's actually a tiny kitchen, and right in front of me, in front of my bed, is a sink from the kitchen. And the reason I chose this because I didn't have enough money. And this room is for everything only 2 million Vietnam dong, which is around 66 euros. And it's so terrible to the fact that only 8 meters square, and there's barely any space to move. And if I step off my bed, I was basically at the door. And there was this wooden wardrobe, very old, that was left by the previous tenant in my room. And it's so old and rotten to the fact it had termites in it, the whole colony of termites. At first, I didn't know it until the first day I slept. And then I keep hearing this kind of noises very loud. And from the next day, I figured out there's all termites, just climbing, walking around. And then I went out, bought insect spray. I literally used the entire spray. But guess what? After 1 week, that day was the rainy day, and I was sleeping. And then, next to my bed there was a lamp, and I keep hearing this kind of sounds again. When I opened my eyes, there literally a bunch of insects flying around my rooms towards the light. I was so scared and freaked out, and I had to turn off the light immediately. And then I just kind of wait for them to fly to the hallways, because in the hallway there is another light there. And at night, I didn't even sleep. I literally have to hide in my bathroom until 5 a.m. because at the time the termites are gone, half of it. Next day in the morning, I literally called the landlord, and the only thing I was received was she told me to buy another insect spray. Oh my god, it was terrible. And the wardrobe is so big, and compared to the door of my room, I couldn't take it out. And so I just literally had to deal with this for 1-2 years later. And of course, during the time I was starting my first year in university, I also was working. But of course, the money for my part-time job was not enough to cover anything. I asked my mom and my dad, but of course, both of them said that they didn't have money for me. And like they said, I didn't listen to them. So now it's everything my fault. And I either came back to them and study in the city, then they maybe take care of it. Otherwise, there's literally no way. And of course, I was constantly insulted and threatened a lot to go back to my city.
And then my grandma called me again. She comforted me, saying that it's okay. I will give you money, but just don't tell your parents. Trying to study good, but she has a better idea, which is telling me to study abroad, which is why I'm here today. And actually, it's not only from my grandma. I also have like a dream of studying abroad, but of course not in Germany, because I don't think like most people will want to start in Germany, if you understand what I mean, if they never knew anything about it. Most of us, I think, would like to go to USA, Canada, England, or maybe Australia, and me also. I mean, that is English speaking countries, right? And at the time I was thinking a lot. I really want to start abroad, but I didn't know any German, and coming here also means that I have to study German. And meanwhile at the time I already started first university in Vietnam, so I'm just thinking that, you know, I was at the top school and a lot of people also want this. Why should I like give up everything and then, you know, start everything over again in like a strange country? But then considering a lot of things I've been through, my grandma also told me, if you want to escape from the hell you've been through for many years, there's only way is to get far away as much as you can. I love you, we all love you, we feel pity for you. Even my relatives, you know, from my grandma's side also said that they cannot help me. The only thing I can help myself is me doing it. And then I've been thinking about it a lot. I'm just crying. I even tried to have a call with my mom, trying to, you know, have a like a emotional conversation with her, but it didn't work, and she just keep insulting me and saying that's all my fault, and they literally threatened me a lot. Of course, I was so scared to tell her that I plan to come to Germany and study, because I know one thing for sure, that she will never agree. She will always like think about money first. But of course, coming here, thank God that I didn't like ask my mom or my dad money, but instead my grandma and my relatives, they helped me with this. But of course, I always feel like a burden, like kind of like I own them something, you know. And in the future, if I can, I trying to like pay them back, but still again, I was not in the like a privilege that you guys always think of me. At the time, I wanted to start university and German at the same time, but my grandma told me that she couldn't take care of both of it. I either have to choose university or German. So at the time, I decided to took a 6 months leave of absence for my university to study German. And after 6 months starting it, I almost like took the test, but I don't know how and why my parents figured out that I want to study abroad in Germany. Maybe from one of my relatives, I don't know. And then they literally called me, spam my calls, threatened me, insulted me, saying that I have to go back immediately to their city, to my city. Otherwise, they would find way try and kill me and something like that. It was really terrible. I was literally crying for days. I don't understand why it's happening like this. I don't know why they don't want to like anything good for me. They're saying that's too expensive and don't dream big like that or this and that. Even I'm trying to say that's not gonna be from your money. My grandma gonna take care of it. They don't give a F. They're saying that you're a girl. You just like, you know, don't dream big that much. You can just like go to become like a worker in a factory or get married to a rich guy whatsoever, and you just like invest too much of our resources in starting whatsoever. And then because due to the pressure, I had to come back to my city. And I'm gonna skip this part, but it was literally hell for me during the time that I was like have to come back to my city. It's to the point that I literally worked 2 jobs at my city at a time. Of course, teacher, and it's literally like earned me a lot of money. I was saying really thankful for it. And thanks to that money, I literally can take care of all of my fees, including visa fee, even like taking all the tests, the fee, everything. That's all from my own money. It's because like I work 2 jobs, and you know, compared to most other job, I would say like the money from this job is like much higher and it's better. So yeah, I really took care of everything. I even bought all the clothes that for myself, everything. And on the day that I literally came to the capital city and took a test, I passed it with the first try, and then I started B2. I came back to capital city again. At this time, my parents, of course, they didn't like it, but due to many pressure from my grandma, also they say that we don't need any help from you guys. So they just say, okay, then go. And when I come there, I took test in B2 and I passed again. Then after that, doing visa, everything all by myself. My parents did not help me at all. I was finding everything online. I didn't even use any service. Everything I did, if you guys want to know also, I already mentioned it in my previous video, but if you guys still haven't know it here I go to this Facebook group. I'm literally like really thankful for this Facebook group. It helped me a lot, literally everything. Completely free. And on a day I packed all my things and went to the airport. My parents didn't even want to see me off for the last time. My grandma like threatened them a lot, saying that it's your child, why be like this. Eventually at the end, my mom and my stepdad came there because of pressure, and I was really not happy at all. I really told her many times that I don't care, like if they never be there from the first place, I don't need them when at the last time I'm here, and I don't want that. When I came here in Germany, long story short, the money that I have for my blog account and everything, more than half of it from my grandma and just a little bit from my dad, because he was pressured by my grandma and my relatives, saying that at least he need to take care of something. Of course, about my mom, she's like another story. She have a lot of excuses and stuff, so she didn't help me at all. But anyway, when I came here, and thank God I have few of my relatives, they helped me. Like just a few days, to make me like feel accustomed to Germany. But I didn't really like have really true help from them about finding a house or any place, because I basically live far away from them, like 800 kilometers. But yes, it's been nearly like a year, and as you can see, and as some of you guys already know, when you come here, you cannot start university yet. Instead, you have to go to test, which is like the entrance exams for Studienkolleg. And during that time, I also met a lot of sayings like, oh, it's really hard, you cannot pass it. If you don't pass, just go back to Vietnam, and now you become a worker in a factory, and you literally are so stupid that you choose to leave the university in Vietnam to choose this, something that's so risky, and you cannot even know whether you pass or not. And meanwhile, a lot of people around you, you see, this children, this child of this person, they at your age, they already have a job, they're already like graduate from university, and they give their parents money. Why you still living off of us and still stuff like that. I was like really hurt, because this is like from my own mom, and I feel really bad, because until now when I hear, they still like constantly judging and doubting me. And of course, when I passed the off-number test, they came up with another thing, such as now you have to waste 1 year studying Studienkolleg and still haven't reached university yet. And like you guys already guess what happened. I passed Studienkolleg again, and here I am. I already finished my first semester in university, and thank God, a really pretty good score. Also, like of course, I think that the only person that actually can congratulate me on this, and I happily receive the congratulations, is my grandma. Otherwise, most of them, I don't get it until now I'm in this position, like you see. Then my relatives, some of them was very like neglecting to me at first, or even evil to me, saying bad things about me. Or my parents, now they really like trying to be nice to me. To be honest, I don't care if they can see this video or not, but it's everything I'm saying right now is the truth. And yeah, that is my life story. And in case you guys don't know, since moving to Germany, I haven't asked anyone for extra money, only used from my blocked account. And actually, I was so, let's say, spasm, to the point that from the first year in Germany, after finishing Studienkolleg, I still have 6,000 euros left in my blocked account. And of course, during like summer holidays, I still work like really full time. So that's why I like adding up to that. And after Studienkolleg, I immediately also found a job. And while I started in university, I also like working part-time job. So as you guys already heard from my story, when I wanted to study specialized school, people saying it's really hard, don't dream too big, you're wasting money, just choose regular ones, you cannot do it. And then I did it, and then after that I want to study IELTS. The same thing happens. My sister, my parents saying it's really hard, don't dream too big. I couldn't even get 5, and you're wasting our parents' money and stuff. And also I got a lot of threats. And then after that I did it again and want to study top university again. No money, no anything. Threatening me, insulting me days by days, years by years. And I did everything by my own. And after that I want to study abroad again. They're saying that not gonna help me anything. I have to do everything from scratch. They even like saying that, bring up a lot of like examples that fell, saying that these people doing this and they couldn't like pass it, and eventually now they workers factory, and then I couldn't even do it myself. Why do you want to do it? A lot of things from my relatives, from my parents. I literally had no one by my side at the time except my grandma. And now I came here, like I told you guys, even Studienkolleg University, everywhere. It's like the worst thing is that sometimes it doesn't even only come from like strangers. I mean, strangers most time they don't really care much, but from my own family. So yes, when I come here today, I was not, and I am not privileged as you think that I am, or if you think that my life is easy, actually it's not. So that is my story. Looking back, I really don't know how I get through that time, but I did. And honestly, that's something I'm really proud of.